Welcome. Today I'm pleased to say I'm here to talk with Robert Taylor. Taylor is a mixed farmer down near Greenthorpe, and it's a great pleasure to be here with you today, Robert. Thank you for inviting us out to have a look around your property.
No problem. Very welcome.
Can you give us a little bit of background about the property that you have here and how long you've been on the property for?
So my dad came here. His family originally farmed up around the Young Monteagle area. He came here in 1960. Bought a 1,000-acre farm here, and we've sort of been building that up over the years.
And what are you up to now?
About 6,500 acres here now. So yeah, Dad's still alive. He's still on the farm, lives on the farm, but he's pretty much retired now. He's in his later years. But we run a mixed farming operation. We're cropping and livestock. So we crop about 1,600 hectares, about 60% of the farm, and about 40% are dedicated to perennial pastures and improved pastures for livestock production. Yeah, mainly merino wool base with lambs and that type of thing. So yeah.
And as a mixed farmer, do you find that one is more important than the other, or is it just that you look at it generally in terms of the way?
No, I wouldn't say one's more important than the other. They sort of complement each other to a certain extent. Like we're predominantly a canola wheat rotation, but we do grow pulses and barley and all sorts of things. We also run a commercial hay enterprise as well. So we sort of integrate the whole three of them. But no, they all have their time. Like the livestock industry is very strong at the moment, so we're putting probably more emphasis on that. We're going to probably restructure our ratio. We'll probably drop some cropping area, or already have this year, and focus on putting in more pasture and running more stock the next few years. While it seems to be, wool's booming and lamb prices are very, very solid. So the returns there are great. Cropping at the moment's a bit flat. Grain prices aren't so great. And input prices, as we all know, have gone through the roof. Machinery replacement's out of control. So it's pretty tight margins in the cropping space at the moment. So
we did the member survey recently for FarmLink about the Middle East crisis, one of the things that we found was about input costs, particularly in relation to urea, and the way that diesel prices were going to impact upon the ability for farmers to be able to continue the cropping plans that they had. Did you find that that impacted upon you? And if so, what did you decide to do to change what you were approaching before the Middle East crisis occurred?
Okay, so yeah, well, it will impact. I mean, we've already experiencing the high diesel prices, so we just got to cop that on the chin because we need diesel, right? Not much we can do about that. The urea supply thing, we had most of our MAP on hand, but we only probably had a percentage of our urea. So it's frightfully expensive. It's sort of gone from 800 to 1,500 delivered and could go up more. So we have cut our program a little bit. We're putting more pulse crops this year and a bit more crop that's probably less nitrogen dependent, such as maybe barley, doesn't need quite as much N. And we'll prune we run a zoning system. We've got our farm managed into management zones. So I've sort of found over the years our biggest bang for buck with urea is probably that first 150 kilos per hectare. So we're looking at return on investment, and we'll probably cut some rates depending, unless things change. Like if canola prices bounce to $850, we'd go hard. But at the moment they're not there. So we'll be cutting rates a little bit and still doing usually testing procedure and making sure we get the nutrition spot on. But the one thing in our favour, we've had a good autumn break here. We got some great rain in early March, so we know we've got a profile of moisture to work with, and we'll know we'll be able to grow something. But it's just getting that return with the inputs being so high that's becoming a bit scary.
And do you see the flow-on effect? It's going to impact upon farmers generally, but how do you think that will impact upon the consumer going forward?
Well, I guess we're at the bottom of the food chain, aren't we? We can't pass our costs on. Most of the other industries that I deal with, like freight or anything like that, they can just bump their prices up. We can't. I can't just go and say, look, I want an extra $100 a tonne for my wheat. I'm not going to grow it because no one will buy it unless everyone can bind together and form some sort of, association. We don't have that ability as farmers, unfortunately. So, yeah, look, I think that we have massive flow-on effects. I really do. We're all talking about we're heading for a recession. Well, I think we're in a recession almost now. People are very conscious of it. It's very front of mind. And I guess, like I said, we're lucky. We're in a good area here, in a good patch. But fellows, and I've got plenty of mates that haven't had a start. They've missed their autumn break, and they are extremely concerned, not about growing a crop, but if they've got to, fund one at such high levels of input prices, there's going to be no margin in it for them.
I suppose going forward, Robert, with respect to the importance of research and development and innovation for farming sector, the levy dollar that you get through the research and development corporations, such as Australian Wool Innovation, Grains Research and Development Corporation, and others like that, how do you feel that that is paying dividends for you on your property with the large number of merino sheep you have, the cropping enterprise that you are growing? Do you see that there needs to be more engagement at that level, or do organisations like FarmLink as a farming system group have a role to play?
Yeah, I think FarmLink do have a collaborative role to play, and it's always been a bit of bugbear of mine to try and attract some of our research levies into our region, into projects that are relevant to growers within that region. That's always been a bit of a struggle, even extracting funds out of GRDC or AWI or whatever those projects are. Those levies, or they've got big amounts of money in reserve, let's face it. They're all there. We're getting paid, charged our levies, and we all got to pay them. But to get a return and see that at a farm level is not always clear. So there's been some excellent projects, don't get me wrong, and there always are, but I think there's a real space for FarmLink to, how should I put it, to coordinate a lot of that or implement a lot of that work and act as an intermediary body between some of those funding bodies and us as farmers to find out what we want, what we think would be beneficial, and to piece it all together.
You were on the steering committee that looked at the very formation of FarmLink back in 2004. What were the issues that were being confronted by you then, and do you think those issues remain the same now? And I put it in context that you took on the farm from your father. Eventually your son or sons will come in and take the farm from you. You made changes, they'll make changes. How do you see that having evolved over the last couple of decades?
In terms of research,
the way that it impacts upon you with the farm itself and what you decided to do, why it was in 2004 you saw the need to be involved with the formation of an organisation such as us.
Okay, well, my core interest was just what I previously said, to try and attract, or get a bigger slice of our research levies that we put into GRDC and industry bodies, get it back onto a regional area focus, so we could actually see our money working for things we wanted to put in regional relevant trial projects. That was a big frustration. I was involved in quite a few with the DPI and a few other. We had a few nucleus groups that we used to run, analysis groups and things, and we weren't seeing a lot of research dollars that we thought was relevant to our area spent in our area. There'd be a lot of things done in Victoria and things Queensland that weren't relevant here. So that was the whole impetus of the group. I think back in the day, there's a few growers and advisors got together to try and start, the body of FarmLink as it's now known. And I think that's worked pretty well. It's evolving, sure, and it's had a few hiccups along the way, but I think it's doing a pretty good job now. And we're seeing some great research projects. There's one just up the road at Iandra, a farming systems project that's been running for, I think, 7 years now. And some of the data that's coming out, that's been fantastic, and it's been, funded by CSIRO, GRDC, and there's a great management team there. But the ability to have a trial that runs over a long period so you can see the benefit of the rotation in time rather than just a snapshot of 1 year's results has been really, really beneficial. And that's where I like seeing our money spent. And I think it's been a great project, that one in particular.
Well, the reason that we're out here is, of course, that you've been talking to us about becoming involved with one of the trials that we're undertaking, hyper profitable crop. Do you see that as being beneficial to you? And why was it that you decided that that would be something you'd like to be involved in with us?
So yeah, I've been to a few of the hyper-yielding profitable crop field days at Wollongbean, and it's always sort of cutting-edge technology and pushing the system. And we are in a fairly good area here, not probably as rainfall is not as good as Wollongbean, obviously, but we can grow good crops here. There's no doubt about that. And they've been getting results, and it's just good to see what you can do when you push the system. So as I said, margins are getting tighter. We need to extract what we can and maximise production where we can. So that was I guess that's where my level of interest came from.
So as you move forward, and eventually you too will move on to another part of the farm, your son will come in. What is it that you want to leave for him as a legacy of what you've been able to establish?
Yeah, well, I'm very big on property improvement. We've spent a lot of money here on infrastructure in the last decade, and we've got the farm up to a pretty sustainable state now, very sustainable. I think we've got very low weed burdens, and that's always been a focus of mine. But soil health was another big one. Like it's our major asset, the soil, so we really like to look after that. And nutrition or amelioration or protecting ground cover, whatever we need to do. Yes, that's always been a big focus. As a farmer, I'm passionate about what we do. I'm very passionate about agriculture, but we've got to look after our investment, which is the land. Yes, we treat it like a business, and we've got to make money out of it. But at the same time, we want to provide a legacy for those that are following us, because we don't want to run down that asset. If anything, we want to improve it, and I'm sure we are, and keep it sustainable and profitable in the long term.
Robert, thank you for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you, and I look forward to seeing the rest of your property as we move around.
No problem. Thank you
so much.
Yep.